Hello everyone. Welcome to the class of Complex Analysis, Probability and Statistical Methods 18 MIT 41. Today I'll be discussing a topic in Module 2, Conformal Transformations and Complex Integration. And the topic that I'll be discussing is Cauchy's integral formula and generalized Cauchy's integral formula. These are two theorems that we are going to discuss in this session. Myself, Dr. Madhura, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Sai Vidya Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. First, let us see Cauchy's integral formula. Cauchy's integral formula. So the question format might be state and prove Cauchy's integral formula. So let us see the statement first. If f of z is analytic, if f of z is analytic inside and on a simple closed curve C, and if small letter a is any point within C, then f of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over C f of z divided by z minus a dz. So we need to prove this theorem. The theorem statement says that if f of z is analytic inside and on a simple closed curve C, and suppose a is any point within C, then f of a is given by 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over C f of z divided by z minus a dz, where a is any point within the closed curve C. So let us do the proof of this theorem. We'll first draw a basic figure for this requirement. Let us consider this simple graph. I've considered an xy plane, and in the xy plane, let us consider the closed curve C. And within the closed curve C, let us enclose or plot the point A first, because A is a point within C, no? So we are just plotting the point A first, and keeping A as the center, I'm drawing the circle equation C1. I repeat, let us consider a closed curve C, and within the closed curve C, let us denote a point A, and keeping A as center, I am drawing a circle. The circle is C1, and R is the radius of the circle. Okay, so that's a figure description for us. Now we will just mention the same thing. Since A is a point within C, since small letter a is a point within C, enclose it by a circle C1, with Z is equal to A as center and R as radius, such that C1 lies entirely within C. C1 lies entirely within C. So these things we have to take care while drawing the graph. We have the point A which is enclosed within the curve C. Curve C is a just closed curve. It might be a circle, it might be a square or any other closed curve for us. So with A as center, we are drawing a circle C1 with Z is equal to A as center and R as radius, such that C1 lies entirely within C. That is our assumption what we are taking. Now, since f of z is analytic, which is given in the statement, keeping that, we can write down for f of z by z minus a also to be analytic. Since f of z is analytic, the function f of z divided by z minus a is analytic inside and on the boundary of the annular region and on the boundary of the annular region between C and C1. So the function f of z by z minus a is our requirement in the required proof for us. So in order to talk about f of z by z minus a, we are writing this. It is given from the statement that f of z is analytic. Keeping the same thing in mind, we can write down f of z by z minus a is also analytic inside and on the boundary of the annular region. The annular region is a region between C and C1. So it is analytic within this entire annular region as well. So that as a consequence of Cauchy's theorem, as a consequence of Cauchy's theorem, we can write integral over C f of z divided by z minus a dz is equal to integral over C1 f of z divided by z minus a dz. Now I'll just mention the consequence of the Cauchy's theorem to you. So Cauchy's theorem consequence says that suppose we have C1 and C2 are two simple closed curves such that the curve C2 lies entirely within C1, and if f of z is analytic on C1 and C2 and in the annular region between C1 and C2, then integral over C1 f of z dz is equal to integral over C2 f of z dz. This is one of the consequences of Cauchy's theorem. So using this concept, we will be able to proceed further to prove this Cauchy's integral formula. Now, we will discuss and change the terms with respect to the circle C1. We know about the circle equation C1. It's a circle with center at A and radius equal to R. So Z minus A, that is why the center is at A, and that can be written as modulus of Z minus A is equal to R. So let us mention the same thing now. The equation of C1, that is circle with center at A and radius equal to R. This can be written in the form modulus of Z minus A is equal to R. So when we expand the modulus, we will be able to get a circle equation with center at the point A and radius equal to R. So we are already familiar with the standard form mod Z is equal to R, which represents a circle with center at the origin and radius equal to R. Mod Z is equal to R. Same manner, modulus of Z minus A is equal to R represents a circle equation with center at A and radius equal to R. Now keeping this, Let us expand this modulus in the polar representation. When I expand this modulus, this becomes z minus a is equal to r e power I theta. So we have mod z minus a is equal to r implies z minus a is equal to r e power I theta. So from this we can write down what is z, a plus r e power I theta. We can also find out dz from this, because in the integral c1 we need to substitute this. Differentiation of a constant is 0. We are differentiating with respect to theta. So r will be a constant as it is. Differentiation of e power I theta is I into e power I theta d theta. And since we are discussing about a circle equation, theta lies between 0 to 2 pi. So these are the limits for C1. Now we will use all these in the RHS of C1. Using these in the RHS of equation 1, we get, let us just see what is that equation 1 once. So left hand side was integral over C f of z by z minus a dz, and right hand side integral over C1. So now the C1 was nothing but the circle equation. If we could observe figure, C1 is nothing but the circle equation. So now we are changing to the circle equation. We will substitute for z, dz and z minus a. Simultaneously write down the limits as from theta varying from 0 to 2 pi. So left hand side we will keep it as it is. Integral over C f of z divided by z minus a dz is equal to integral theta is equal to 0 to 2 pi f of z is a plus r e power I theta divided by z minus a is r e power I theta into dz, I r e power I theta d theta. We observe that some terms get cancelled over here. The denominator r e power I theta gets cancelled with r e power I theta. So we have the leftover term. So this gives us theta varying from 0 to 2 pi. There's a I constant I can write outside the integration. And we have f of a plus r e power I theta into d theta. Now, this expression is true for any r, however small it might be. Since r is a positive, r is nothing but the radius. Since r is a positive value, and however small it might be, we can draw a smaller circle as well and prove that result is true, no? So that is why we can conclude this is true. This is true for any r greater than 0, however small. Hence, as r tends to 0, we get integral over C f of z divided by z minus a dz is equal to I into integral theta is equal to 0 to 2 pi f of a d theta. We took for a smaller r value. This was f of a plus r e power I theta. R represents the radius of the circle here. For however small value, this expression remains to be the same. So let us assume r tending to 0. As r tends to 0, this becomes only f of a into d theta within the integral. So I have written the same thing. Now f of a is a constant. I can write outside the integral. So this will be I into f of a. Integration theta is equal to 0 to 2 pi 1 into d theta. So integration of 1 d theta is theta between the limits 0 to 2 pi. Upper limit is applicable. So this gives us 2 pi minus 0. So from this we are able to write down what is f of a. F of a from this we have to write down. So what is f of a from this? Is 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over c f of z divided by z minus a dz. And this is our requirement, if you can observe. So hence the proof. We'll just see the statement. So this was the requirement for us. F of a is 1 by 2 pi I integral over c f of z by z minus a into dz. So this is Cauchy's integral formula for us. Now we will see generalized Cauchy's integral formula. The next theorem related to Cauchy's integral formula. It's an extension, or we can say it's a generalized formula. Generalized Cauchy's integral formula. So let us see the statement first. Usually statement would have been mentioned for this. If f of z is analytic, inside and on a simple closed curve C, and if small letter a is any point within C, then the expression is for fn of a, means nth derivative of f of a. So fn of a is equal to n factorial divided by 2 pi I into integral over C f of z divided by z minus a whole power n plus 1 dz. Z minus a whole power n plus 1 dz. So as I mentioned, it's an extension or a generalized expression of Cauchy's integral formula. So if we observe the previous one, it is f of a. Now we are dealing with the nth derivative of f of a. So numerator changes are n factorial and denominator is z minus a whole power n plus 1 under the integral. So let us see the proof for generalized integral Cauchy's integral formula. Proof. By Cauchy's integral formula, just now we obtained the result. We will start with it. By Cauchy's integral formula, f of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I, 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over C f of z divided by z minus a dz. Z minus a dz. Let me call this as equation 1. Now we are going to apply a concept known as Leibniz rule for differentiation under integral sign. We are applying Leibniz rule. See, we have to obtain f dash of a, f double dash of a, etc. and then generalize for fn of a. So that is how the proof will be carried out. Keeping f of a, we have to find out f dash of a. Means we have to differentiate with respect to a. So that gives us, within the integral, this will be partial differentiation concept. So that is given by Leibniz rule for differentiation under integral sign. So whenever we are differentiating with respect to another variable, see here the integral variable is dz, but we are differentiating with respect to another variable, treating the constant a as a variable, we are differentiating. So that is how I can get f dash of a in the left hand side. So right hand side, within it integral, it becomes a partial derivative dou by dou a. So we take d by dA on both sides. Left hand side it will become f dash of a, whereas in the right hand side within integral, d by dA becomes a partial derivative dou by dou a. So that's the concept of Leibniz rule for differentiation under integral sign. So applying Leibniz rule for differentiation under integral sign. Means within integral we are applying this in differentiation, no? So under integral sign we get, so left hand side I will directly write down f dash of a, whereas in the right hand side within integral let us represent dou by dou a. Dou by dou a. Yes, we will write on same thing. F dash of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over c dou by dou a of f of z divided by z minus a dz. So now with respect to a, when I want to differentiate partially, f of z is a constant. I can write as it is. So this gives us 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over c f of z as it is. Differentiation of z minus a, 1 divided by z minus a we have to perform. Differentiation, partial differentiation of 1 by z minus a we have to perform. So differentiation of 1 by z minus a is of the form 1 by t. So differentiation of 1 by t is minus 1 by t square into chain rule. Differentiation of z minus a partially with respect to a. So just 0 minus 1. A is treated as a variable here. So differentiation of minus a is minus 1 into dz as it is. So this gives us 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over c minus into minus plus. So this is giving us f of z divided by z minus a the whole square dz. Now the outside 1 whatever I have, just for convenient we can write it down as 1 factorial also. Correct? So later we will mention that. I'll come back to this little while later. Let me call this as equation 2. This is f dash of a for us. Now in the same manner we need to obtain f double dash of a by once again applying Leibniz rule of differentiation. Leibniz rule to equation 2. So then only I can obtain f double dash of a. Means we are differentiating once again on both sides. It is with respect to the variable a. So d by dA in the right hand side within integral it becomes dou by dou a due to Leibniz rule of differentiation under integral sign. So we can get f double dash of a is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I integral over c f of z I can write outside dou by dou a of 1 divided by z minus a the whole square dz. Now differentiation of 1 by z minus a whole square we have to perform. So integral over c f of z as it is. Differentiation of z minus a whole power minus 2 is minus 2 into z minus a whole power minus 2 minus 1 into differentiation with respect to a gives us minus 1. I repeat the differentiation. Taking to the numerator, this is z minus a whole power minus 2. So differentiation of z minus a whole power minus 2 with respect to a we are performing is minus 2 into z minus a whole power minus 2 minus 1, which is minus 3 in the power, into with respect to a when I differentiate, differentiation of minus a is minus 1. So minus of minus becomes plus We have two constant. I will write it down outside. I don't want to cancel off the 2 with the denominator. We need it. Let me tell you after a while why we are keeping it as it is. So integral over C f of z into, or we can write down directly f of z by z minus a the whole cube dz. Right? This is f double dash of a for us. Observe equations 2 and 3. They are almost similar to each other. We have 1 by 2 pi I, and this is z minus a whole square. Here it is 2 by 2 pi I and z minus a whole cube. Observing these, can I write down the numerator 2 as, for convenient, instead of cancelling, we will write it down as 2 factorial. 2 factorial is equal to 2, so I can write it down like that. And here I had 1 here, which can be written as 1 factorial. 1 factorial. So when I have f dash, it is 1 factorial and z minus a whole square. Power is 1 more than the differentiation term. Similarly, when I am dealing with f double dash, second derivative. So second derivative 2 factorial, and power, when you observe, it is 1 more than the derivative power. So this can be generalized to fn of a. So fn of a will be n factorial. This is double dash 2 factorial. So same manner, fn of a will be n factorial, and this will be 1 power extra. Power will be raised plus 1. Plus 1 it will be. So this gives us n plus 1 in the power. So we can conclude, continuing on the same lines, or in this way, differentiating n times, we get the expression for fn of a. fn of a. n means n times differentiation. So it is n factorial divided by 2 pi I integral over c. This is 2 pi I integral over c f of z divided by z minus a whole power n plus 1 dz. So second derivative 2 factorial power 3. 1 added to the power. Similarly, nth derivative n factorial, power should be n plus 1. Power should be n plus 1. So this is how we can say or prove the theorem for generalized Cauchy's integral formula, where let us write down what is fn of a, where fn of a denotes the nth derivative of f of z at z is equal to a. So is this the required expression for us for fn of a? Let's check that once. N factorial divided by 2 pi I integral over c f of z by z minus a whole power n plus 1 dz. So this is nth differentiation for us. So hence the proof. And we obtain the proof by applying Leibniz rule for differentiation under the integral sign. Twice we applied. Like that we can generalize for n times and we can conclude the expression. So these are the theorems regarding Cauchy's integral formula and generalized Cauchy's integral formula. Hope you have followed these theorems. Thank you for watching.